Can you see me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear? Can you say something? No. I don't know. Right, check your settings. Check your settings. You might have to add your mic. Check your settings on the right. Don't know what to do. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know what to do. Do you want to? Let me see. Let me check. Oh. I don't know what to do. Sama, can you get off and join back, please? Can you try and join back? I can now they were talking, yes, but I cannot hear you. I think on the right you need to sort your settings. Let me see. I don't know where to go. Wait, let me see. Let me see. Oh.
Wait, can you hear now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, there was a button to press.
I had to. Sorry.
I need to move this back.
I can hear you. But I think we're in.
And let me go remove this back. Let me take that out. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
It's good to have you. But I think that gives me echo.
I can hear you very well.
Am I echoing?
No. Am I echoing? I think when you go to settings, there's a thing called...
Hello.
Yep.
Right, let me introduce you.
Hang on, can you hear me and very well?
Right, that's better.
Oh, hang on, can you hear me very well? Because I can hear you very well.
Okay.
So do you want to redo it and then let's start a new one? Or
No,
is do, are you
let's join. Let's just carry on.
are you editing? Okay, okay.
No, I think it's live. We're live. It's
Are
not
we?
pre-recorded.
Oh, right. Okay. First time.
Yes, everybody. I'm sure you guys will join later. But I'll try to share the link. So, Sema, do you want to share the link as well?
Share the link.
Like if you go on YouTube, I think because we are live via YouTube through StreamYard.
Right. Okay.
So that people can join and be interactive. But I think they'll watch this later. But we can always get people to join and maybe ask questions or make it more interactive.
I didn't know that.
You didn't
That's
know that?
I didn't know that. I would have
Oh, it's there.
Is someone live?
Yeah, somebody's live. Hello, you see there's an echo. How do we fix echo?
There's a way of fixing it. You basically go to audio, turn off echo. That's it.
Okay. So I go to audio and I do what?
You go settings, audio.
Okay.
Then this echo cancellation. You can turn it on.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can see that audio. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Queen B, and thank you anybody who is watching without saying hello from the background. This is my kind of first live with anybody, and I'm here with my brother. Which yes, we're family. We need to patronize each other. That's Emma, and if you're new, I'm Lua. And I have this YouTube channel and I discuss everything and anything, things plaguing our societies. I like politics, I like economics, and I like money. So, and right here, introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Sema Fongot, based in London, UK. I'm very, very interested in all things politics, economics, money. Very important. My background is I work in financial technologies. I work in fintech. I'm a sales manager, corporate sales manager for Europe. Yeah, I love what I do, and I'm very interested in politics because politics affects us whether we like it or not, right? We need to make sure we know what's happening and keep up to date with what's going on. So very, 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 very looking forward to the session. I'm sure we're going to have more sessions. So
we are.
Take it away.
Yes, this is long overdue. Queen B, I know that you're supporting. Can I just ask that maybe I'm just trying to get to share. That's the first thing before we actually talking about what has brought us here.
Yeah,
how do we do that? It seems like you are into technology and stuff like that, so you should be in a position to.
I think I'm not sure how you can share.
Let me go to my YouTube channel on my phone and see if I can see that I'm actually live.
Okay.
That would help. And then I can share the link to you through WhatsApp. Yes, I can see it now. So I'm going to share the link, copy it and share to you and to others. And then if anybody who wants to join this session can join, but they'll always meet us later.
Okay, perfect. I think you've sent me. Okay. Oh, great. Wow, it's actually live.
Yeah, it's live.
That's awesome.
It is.
Next time we should do this and share before.
Yep, I know. But the thing is, you don't have the link sometimes to share before.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a bit of chicken and egg situation. I'll share on my status. Now you can share on yours and to some groups that we know, and then we can start. There's history today in the UK and we're live, so.
Exactly.
Oh, from Colombia. Queen B, from Colombia, Bogota. Wow. Thanks for your support. I've shared it. Hopefully, I can get through to more people. Right, let's start. I have to give you some context and some background, Seman asked brothers and sisters, but I think we share slightly different political views. I can say that we have different ideas of how things are meant to be governed, which is great. That's the
It's good
beauty
for
of
a
having.
debate.
Absolutely. So I have a few questions for Sima, but before that, I just want to say what this is about. Like most of you know, if you follow the news, you'll be aware that we've had the first, I don't want to say, well, ethnic minority prime minister today, a few hours actually, about 2, 3 hours, has been installed as a new PM. And I did a video and I predicted he was going to win, but I had mixed feelings because he lost last time. But somebody said September's loss is October's win,
Good
which is
way
a
to
funny
put
way
it.
of putting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let's talk about what you're thinking immediately.
Yeah, no, honestly, congratulations to Rishi Sunak on his achievements of becoming the 50, whatever, I think it's 57th
Yeah.
Prime Minister of the UK. It is one of the biggest positions in the world in terms of stature, grandeurs. It's a remarkable achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And the achievement is not just about him. This achievement is a lot bigger than him and his family. It's a statement about, in my opinion, the state of politics in the UK. It's a statement about the way the world has changed. It's a statement about, what we call disruption in the markets, because this is almost like a disruption in the sense of, in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very, very excited for this premiership. And I hope that we all hope, irrespective of your political sidings, we should all hope and pray that he's a success because we need it, right? The last thing we need is another, botch job. We need him to come and do a good job and, take us to places that we really need to be taken to, right? So I'm very pleased
Just
for
as
him
something
and
you
his
said,
family.
just as
Very
something
pleased
you
for him and his
said,
family.
something you said about,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that his predecessors have done a botched job, or do you think that the circumstances with external pressures, circumstances beyond control? So that's before we go into the details, right?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think that a PM is almost like a not toothless bulldog, or I think that they have people who they appoint within that government that
Yeah.
makes decisions which they believe and endorse. Okay, so a good example was the mini budget, which I term infamous right now, and I thought was infamous from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we need to understand that there's several pressures at the moment. Let's not keep going back, but we have the Ukraine crisis, which is one of the biggest issues with energy crisis.
Definitely.
It might be a
Definitely.
caveat, but that is one
Definitely.
of the reasons why that was the case. We have
Yeah.
post Brexit and we have post COVID. Those are the
Totally.
three most damaging factors in the economic face, right? So
Correct.
I
Yeah.
feel like whoever was chancellor at the time Kwasi delivered the mini budget would be on the firing line. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No. Honestly, with every country in the world is going through, you know, exonerating circumstances.
Yeah.
But obviously, the war in Russia has affected global oil prices, right?
Yeah.
That's been the biggest commodity that's been affected by the war in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole world has suffered a pandemic for 2 years. Some
Yeah.
countries, like in China, they still have a lockdown right now. Obviously, that's not been documented in the news, but there is a lockdown
True.
in China. So
True.
some countries are still having, facets of of lockdown.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what makes the UK peculiar is that we've had Brexit.
Yes.
These are three once in a generation events. You have a pandemic once every, every 50 years or so. You
Yes.
have such kind of global scale events like a war.
Yeah.
We've not had a war of this scale
Yeah.
since World War II. So these
Absolutely.
are what we call unprecedented times. So governing
Absolutely.
in unprecedented times is difficult to judge because you're
Yes.
basically governing in crisis, right? And
Yes.
that's why I have some sympathy, from a human level. I've got some
Yes.
sympathy for those who are put in positions of power to make very, very, very tough decisions, because irrespective of what decision you make, it's gonna really, 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 really either really help somebody or really,
Yes.
really crumble somebody. So it's
Absolutely.
that balance. And in a way, you asked the question about the predecessors, in
Mm-hmm.
a way, you can look at, like, obviously we had Liz Truss, who was there for
Mm-hmm.
45 days and is leaving
Yes.
tomorrow. And then
Yeah.
obviously you had Boris Johnson before that, Theresa
Mm-hmm.
May,
Mm-hmm.
David Cameron, and before
Yeah.
that, Tony Blair, the Labour government,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
So if you look from Boris Johnson's time,
Mm-hmm.
because he came literally when we had to deliver Brexit, which he did. And we had to
Yes.
deliver, and we had a COVID pandemic come through,
Yes.
and then obviously now we have Ukraine, which kind of I want to use him because he faced all three.
Absolutely. And you're getting to a point I was about to ask, and you just
Yeah,
mentioned Sunak.
He's
I
the one
think
leader who's faced all three in the
all
UK.
three.
Liz
Yes.
Truss didn't really face COVID. So
No.
the truth is, and again, this is why some people really, really would die for Boris, right? Because
Yes.
irrespective of whether you like him or you loathe him, like he got the big calls right, like with the
Yes.
vaccine, like with
Absolutely.
the support for Russia again, thanks to the
He
war.
brought stability. I think that he
The
brought
UK was overall
stability.
stable.
Yes.
Were respected to a grand
Yes.
scheme, and I
Yes.
think that personally, like what helped Boris Johnson to an extent was the fact that before him there was
Mm-hmm.
Trump in the US, who was a
Yes.
crazy guy in
Yes.
crazy in terms of just he's not a conventional leader of a G7 country, right? So it made
Yes.
Boris Johnson look like he's a normal guy, just because before him he had Trump,
Absolutely.
so that helped
The,
his premiership.
the bar was so low.
The bar was really low, like in terms of how you
Yeah.
conduct yourself, how you know
Yes.
you carry yourself in public, how you obviously
Mm-hmm.
even use your social media. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we all know Donald Trump is a avid Twitter user, so
Yes.
I think that impacted on Boris' premiership. But
Mm-hmm.
Boris obviously was all self-inflicted. Like if
Yes.
Boris, I personally think that if Boris was just a regular guy who just, well, regular in the sense that he just didn't know, was not over the top with all the lies, slang, and the scandal, I think Boris would
Yes.
have led this country for the next 10 years. I genuinely
Oh
believe that.
yes.
I
And I
genuinely
think
believe that.
Boris was the one person who, when he was elected, people thought he was a joker. He
Yeah,
looked like a clown. He looked very unsettling. I think he shocked people
he
because
did. He did.
he has a very unique style of ruling.
Of
Looks
governing,
very relaxed, being very very unkempt.
he
Just
is.
just just being him, right? The simple guy. I think a lot of people could relate. Being a Tory, being
That's
conservative,
absolutely
and
correct. Yeah.
exactly.
Because
So
sometimes and again, I'm sorry if I cut you there. The thing is,
that's fine.
we've grown up, and we've
Mm-hmm.
been so used to a conventional way of politics. You got to be
Yes.
dressed up, you got to like say the right things, you got to be upfront, you got to be straight
Yes.
to the point. You have to make
Yes.
sure you're politically correct, as they say. All
Absolutely.
of a sudden, we've had Trump, and Trump
Yes.
has made everyone understand that politics
You
can
don't
be
have
done
to.
in a different way.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, now, is making us realize that you can actually convey a message to people. Nowadays, there's different ways of conveying messages. Before, it was all through a lens of a microscope of the
Yes.
press of the White House, or the press of Downing Street, 10 Downing Street,
Yes.
or the press of Champs Elysees in France. Nowadays,
Yes.
you can communicate to your followers, to the country, to social media. So
You know,
it's very
you know what?
informal. It's very
I think
informal.
COVID. I mean, COVID. Sorry to cut you off. COVID.
Yeah,
I remember watching when Boris would come out and deliver, and you see him walk. You think people are dying. Are you making a joke out of this? But
correct. Yeah,
gradually, slowly but surely, he led us to a place where, unfortunately, we've not touched the benefits
yeah.
of what we're meant to touch if things were stable. I think Boris's biggest issue, I think the whole scandal around doing not following the rules.
Partygate.
And in this country, it's so difficult to get into a scandal and stay in government. If you
It
want to
is.
rule,
It is. Yeah.
don't have a scandal.
The
Just
British
stay
are
vanilla.
very, very straight people. They want everything to be done by the book. So
And
it's
that leads
difficult
me
to
to my
bend the
next
rules. And
question.
okay,
I feel very strongly about Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng because I think that that's been the biggest catalyst to a lot of the ripple effects that we're having with it. Just feels like things are just moving so quickly and round in circles without any traction. And
yeah,
this is why I feel Liz Truss lost everybody's credibility and the economy dwindled. And I remember saying that it was nothing to do with the 5p tax on high income. It was the lack of trust for the economic leadership. Because I think when you cannot trust people who lead you, that credibility gets lost and you can never regain it. And Liz Truss did not realize that. What she did was she went, that's my opinion. She went for the weaker link and thought that once she got rid of him, because it was a budget that she agreed and endorsed, and suddenly backtracked. And I think that once that happens, there was no way she could stay in power. So what I want to ask you is, based on the happenings, what do you think about? I know we had an informal chat when the mini budget was done about a month. What do you think now, looking at it after the dust has settled? What do you think?
I think we need to give your viewers, your followers, some context, right?
Okay.
So I think before answering, let's take a step back and almost establish what political side we're on, because that may give some context in terms of the answer, right? Because if I'm a socialist by beliefs, I would think that budget was the worst thing ever.
If I'm socialist, that's what you're saying.
If I'm a conservative by political beliefs, I would think it's the best thing ever. So it depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Okay, you say, I know that you're not right. You're center right.
I'm not very right wing, because they almost get associated as very rich racist people. I'm definitely not that. I think I'm more.
Are you sure? I'm joking.
No, I think I'm more centralist right. Definitely not socialist for sure. Centralist right. And again, so that budget, the budget which Kwasi Kwarteng, and again, another black politician who was put in position of the top office of the land. Obviously, you wish him well from that viewpoint.
Yeah.
And the sympathy I have for them and for Liz Truss is that Liz Truss, all along in the campaigns, said all she's interested in is two things: low taxes and growth. Yes. So basically, she got elected. You can question the elections or party members versus conservative, but the MPs, we can have a discussion about that later. But she got elected on that mandate that she's going to deliver
high growth
and growth.
Low tax.
So basically, her budget, you can argue that was it the right timing? Should it have been that detailed? Was it actually a mini budget rather than a full budget? Question mark. I think that budget, whatever it was, had to be delivered at some point.
Yes.
To in her defense, I think she was trying to lay down the marker really elected
aggressive. It was a bit aggressive at the time. It just felt a bit too aggressive.
Exactly. But I think in terms of her idea was correct. Because she was delivering on the manifesto that was given to her. You're going to bring in low taxes, and it's going to be about high growth for the economy. Yes. So go ahead and do your thing, madam. The issue was, I think she did not. I think there's two big issues here. One, there's a reason why certain organizations exist in the country, especially if they've been formed after a recession. Like the recession in 2008, we had the OBR formed. We had the Bank of England made independent to the government. We had the FCA created. All these things were created to prevent a recession. So you can't go and do a budget
or to mitigate the effects of a recession.
Mitigate the potential of a recession.
Yeah.
So you can't ignore that and do a budget without the projections of the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you come to the podium and you basically say, I can't, we're not going to release the forecast of the OBR. It's not ready. It's going to be released in November, I think it was. It doesn't work that way, right? So I think that was the first mistake. So it almost gave no credibility to anything that came out of Kwasi Kwarteng's mouth, because it's like,
and that's not all. Sorry, that's not all. Apparently, the other her cabinet did not actually have preview to this mini budget till it was announced.
They did not, and that's the thing. That's the second thing. So before she even said anything, one, you don't have the OBR forecast, and two, basically it's you and Kwarteng that have kind of
It felt like
come up with this budget. Okay.
Yes.
And of course, everyone has to go defend it following that, because that's what people in government do.
Yeah.
So we discussed this. I know we discussed this offline, informally, once it got released. Yeah. My initial view as a right wing, whatever you want to call it, this is a fantastic budget for a growth period. Growth period in the sense that this budget is great or good. No, not say great. It's exaggerating a little bit, but it's a good budget when things are going well. So let me say, just maybe in David Cameron's time, David Cameron was there from 2010 to 2016. That was a growth period for the UK. The UK was doing really well. That's the kind of time you could have introduced a budget like this, where we didn't have any major issues. Yeah, Brexit was talked about here and there, but nothing major. That's when you could introduce a budget like that because the economy was on the rise. Not at this time.
And I think to just agree with what you've said, timing is always of the essence. That's what I always say.
Very important.
And it was a bit counterproductive. I know that where they were trying to head to, they're trying to reduce tax to stimulate growth and to get more investments.
Yeah.
So one thing I always said was, why do you have to worry about things like personal tax and the rest? I know that you're making the richer people more motivated. Why don't you think about corporation tax? Think about taxes for people who are businesses, levy them on, not on people, right? I felt like it was so contradictory to what the Tories believe.
To be fair, the point on corporation tax.
Yes.
And again, when you get interest, like you and I have interest in politics and economics, you tend to kind of understand things at a macro level.
Yes.
The truth is that the reason if France, for example, or Germany said they want to increase corporation tax, it won't be the same as us because of Brexit. At the moment, because of Brexit, the UK, to some people's eyes, is not necessarily the most attractive place because they're thinking the dissociation from the EU.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what does that mean? If you're saying that I'm not part of the EU, which means I've got all these issues and protocols and tariffs and customs and all these things to handle with the EU, plus I'm going to add you 5% tax.
Yeah.
It's not the most attractive thing for a business. Why am I saying all of this? That I understand it from a business point of view in the sense that you may not want to increase tax on a business because you want to bring in more businesses to come in and invest here. Because the difference between the UK with France, with Germany, is that the UK is a services country.
Yeah.
So we need investment. We need companies to come and invest here and set up workforces here to employ people, etc. Germany can get away with that because they produce cars, they produce all these things. France produces almost everything in the world, champagne, etc., wine. We don't really do much from a production and the manufacturing. So we need businesses. So if I was Chancellor, I would be all for low corporation tax. I'll find the money somewhere else, but I would want low corporation tax because I want business.
I think that was not part of the plan. Part of the plan was to reduce corporation tax, I think, from 25p to 19p, if my numbers are right. I think
that was the case. Yeah, that was actually they reversed it. Yeah.
Yes, they reversed it. So the whole budget can be infamous and where we are, and I'm really tempted to keep going behind, but let's move forward. Yeah?
Let's move forward.
Let's move forward.
Yeah.
What the first thing I want to say, and everybody listening, hello everybody. This is, I know a lot of people have joined since we went live. This is Sema from God, and I'm Lua from God. Actually, this is my brother, and we're having a bit of a debate on what's happened in the UK today. It's news. It feels like when Obama was elected president.
Yeah.
Right? I remember it was in 2007, I think, and everybody went ecstatically happy. I'm not getting that vibe from the UK today. I'm getting a bit of wow. Can he deliver? Why? First, my opinion is that we did not elect him. We elected the party, and he is the leader. So by default, he's got it. So what are your thoughts today? I'm happy. And I predicted that he will win. And people were like, never, not in this country. We'll go out to the public. What are your thoughts today? What vibe are you thinking?
I think it's the connection is okay, perfect. I think it's come back now. It's come back now. Yeah, no, so honestly, I think Rishi Sunak, as a prime minister, has posed more questions than open doors. Because I give an example. You made a very good point. We did not elect him.
Yeah.
And I guess that explains the sentiments around his appointment or his electorate by, to the post of prime minister. Because if you elected him, it's different because it feels that the nation has chosen this guy to take us forward. But
second PM in succession that we've
yeah,
not elected from the Conservative Party.
they said
That to me is
basically, like, at least to be fair, Liz Truss at least had the members of the Conservative Party.
true.
Rishi Sunak was literally, apparently, was 700,000 of 1% people of the UK that actually got him into power. Which, when you look at it, there's no way that reads well. There's just no way that reads well, right?
Yeah,
In
it
the
feels
grand
like
scheme
people are
of
being
things.
forced to
But
accept
at the
what
end
they
of the
want.
day, every country's got laws, and the laws are what makes the country unique,
Of
right?
course.
And
Of course.
that's the law is the law. If
Yeah,
he
of course.
if he has any issues as well, and it's a scandal, and he's asked to step down, we would have another prime minister who's going to be conservative if it's before 2024, because that's when the next
Let
general
that not
election is
happen,
scheduled
please.
for. So it's a bittersweet, because it's like,
Yeah.
you want to see progress, you want to see more of an electorate, but at the same time you have this non-white British prime minister who is not necessarily the most conventional. He was not in politics from day one. He's just a
He's
great
only
story.
been in 2015 that he was
Yeah,
elected from.
he's a very new guy into politics, and
Yeah.
he's the youngest. He is the youngest prime minister of the United Kingdom of
No, I
Great
think in this
Britain
century, I think
and
there was
Northern
somebody
Ireland.
before.
That is, for a young guy like me, that is
Yeah,
fantastic. And again,
absolutely.
some of these appointments, even if it's short-lived, you don't know how
Yeah,
much impact it has on people, because it gets people to
absolutely.
believe.
Absolutely. And
To
this is what I'm trying to see.
believe
When I
that you
asked you
can do it.
what your vibe was, what I was saying today was,
Yeah,
I've had a lot of debates offline. On Saturday, I was at this event.
yeah.
And the people sat next to me. I brought this up, right? Like you do. And they were like, no, 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 no. This country is not ready. I said, we are ready. And we are going to be coerced into being agreed, because there's nobody else. At the time, Boris had not yet stepped
Yeah,
down.
yes.
So
Yeah.
there was him, there was Penny, and then
Yeah.
yeah. And they was like, no, 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 they better go out. And I said, he is going to take power, because I know that people remember him first COVID, when he brought this eat out to dine out
So
thing or
furlough,
whatever.
eat out. Yeah,
Furlough. And I think that he did a decent job, right?
he did. He did.
Yes. And
He was the most
unfortunately,
popular. At some point, he was even more popular than Boris Johnson. At some point.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's forget about the tension that happened. I don't really want to go into details. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
But
let's leave that.
I have respect. I know that people say he's never ever used a credit card. He's never ever put.
He's the richest. He's the richest politician in the UK.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad position to be in, is it?
I was trying to put it nice, right? And he's had all these
He's very.
scandals of.
He and his wife are worth £700 million, which is about $1 billion-ish, depending on your. Well, the pound has come down now, so.
Being an African, when we hear that, we are happy for him to rule, because you believe that he will have the nation's interest as opposed to being more selfish. But that's a different debate for a different day. Yeah. But so I think my vibe, I asked a question. I feel like from being an ethnic minority as well in this country, I'm not into politics. I know you, young man, might want to go to politics someday. I can see you being on an MP soon, around you in a Conservative Party. Who knows? It just gives everybody that sort of confidence, belief, drive.
It does. I think the appointment, and I was going to talk about it earlier. The appointment. Should I say it's not an appointment, is it? It's I don't know what you want to.
Appointment.
The thing is that it's not election. It's not an election win, because it's not. Basically, Rishi Sunak's role. Let's just put it that way. I think he poses a question of a potential reform of the British political system, because in other countries, like in the US, if the president has an issue, or potentially if he passes on, for example, the rules are a bit different. In France, because they're republics. The UK is a parliamentary democracy, so you vote for a party, and that party basically is the electorate for a term. So the prime minister is the leader of that party, which some people can look at it and think that's an archaic way of doing things. It worked well for the UK because we never really had issues. We never really had
country is archaic the way it is. You think that Rishi cannot even elect a new government. We don't know what's going to do about his new government. That's what I'm actually. That's the next thing I'm looking forward to. Who's going to appoint,
we'll find out tomorrow.
You have to get the king to give him the permission. That's how archaic this country is, and we like bureaucracy. And and I find it beautiful, like during the Queen's funeral, when you saw all of those, march past, you get all the history, and it's been preserved, right? And when it's preserved, you feel like its authenticity is there.
It is.
So I think it's a bit of a nice nice mix, nice
It is,
dilution
yeah.
to see
I mean,
Rishi.
whether you like it or you loathe it or you disregard it, I think the monarchy of the United Kingdom is just it's just a fascinating story. Like,
Absolutely.
they are,
Absolutely.
again, for me personally, people say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
why do we have a monarchy? Why do we have a monarchy?" They don't really, in my opinion, they're not doing any harm. In my opinion, they're just they give the UK a sense of authenticity, and they give the UK some originality that many
And
countries
yeah,
would die to have. Like, do you know that Monaco has monarchy?
I know because
Liechtenstein, Luxembourg,
yes,
Switzerland, they have monarchies.
yes,
They would
yes,
die. They would die
yes.
to have a fifth of the kind of
What?
reverence to the UK monarchy. And again,
Absolutely.
it goes to the point, right, that
Yeah,
why I said this up. That's what makes the UK unique, and that's
it's
part of our
true.
originality. And if they
And
ask
it's
you
funny you said
that,
that.
yeah, they ask you that, what makes you unique? You're gonna say, I'm a proud African woman, mother of four, da 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 da. Da.
Yes,
That's your
yes.
that's what makes you unique. What makes
That's
the UK
that's
unique
the
is,
identity.
so keep
Absolutely.
it. I have no issues. Keep it
Go out of this because
and make the most of it.
when I travel out of this country and I go and like whenever, especially in the US, and
Yeah,
people say, "Oh, they say, oh, we love your monarchy.
they
Oh,
love
we love
they love the monarchy.
Charles.
Yeah,
No,
in the
not Charles.
US,
Sorry, they love Harry
they love
and
them.
Meghan."
Yeah,
So, and I think it makes it special. But there's a school of thought of people who want to abolish it. That's a different topic because there's
the
always
whole
going to be
that's a whole that's another
extremes.
YouTube that's a whole other
That's the whole
YouTube
thing, isn't it? But
channel.
today we're here to, and let's just close this on. We'll move to the next question, but let's just say that I'm quite happy, like a Cameroonian born, I'm a Nigerian born, African born
African.
Cameroonian
Yeah,
in the UK,
yeah,
who I can see that my dreams are valid, right?
totally.
With Rishi, we might be from different worlds, of course we are, but it doesn't make a difference.
It gives
Obama,
you the sense of that the UK,
exactly.
and again,
Yes,
the UK is I mean, the UK is a majority white country, so of course there's going to be racism, but
yeah, of course.
this is big, man. This
It's
is
big.
big. I mean,
It's big.
Obama being president in the US is different,
Yes.
in my
It's
opinion,
different.
because
Yes.
the US has people. The US was started with Aboriginals who were black.
Absolutely. Yes.
There's about 10% of United States citizens who literally started the country and they are black.
Absolutely. I think it's even less. I hear it's about 7% of the red
It,
Indians or
it's
whoever.
the
Everybody
stat
else
is
is no man's land.
yeah. Whereas in the UK, the UK
Mm.
was the largest monarchy. Sorry, take that back. The largest, what's the word? Colony? Had the
Mm-hmm.
largest empire in the world.
Empire. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
UK, literally, all of us in this country that are not white, we
Mm-hmm.
know and we acknowledge that we're not from here.
Yeah.
Whereas in America,
Yeah.
there's people who know that they're from there.
Yeah.
So to have a non-white prime minister in
Honestly.
this land,
Honestly.
even if he's there for a day, I promise you, even if he gets
Absolutely.
kicked out tomorrow, is
Absolutely.
huge, is
And this is
phenomenal,
and this
is
is why I keep saying,
astronomical.
this is why I keep saying that let's take a step back, forget about
Yeah,
all the number of in fact they say that
that's
it's
irrelevant. That's
it's
irrelevant.
they're saying that it's
At
an
this point,
Airbnb, but
I
right now I don't care. We have
yeah,
Rishi Sunak, and I think that it's a fantastic thing.
it is. It is.
And yeah, so that's my thought. People are saying that his background, they don't know much about him. You learn, you learn. If this guy could come during COVID, right, and stabilize
Exactly.
an
And deliver.
economy, he
Yeah.
can rule this country. And let's watch him do it for the next till the next general election. And that's my
Well,
next
2 years,
question,
actually.
Sema.
A year and a half, two.
Yeah, my next question is:
Yes.
do you think that we need to have a general election now, or should what? Forget that you're conservative, or what your thoughts are. Let's
Yeah.
give an honest answer.
I'll be honest with you that my 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 human response is that we need a general election. That's my human response, because
Yeah.
it just makes sense that you
Yeah.
want to have a direction. There's so much division. There's
Yeah.
division even within the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
So this is not the time for further division. We need
Yeah.
a general election so that the electorate can give a mandate to a party who they believe in, and we all just stick
Yeah.
behind that party, be it Labour, be it a Conservative, Green Party,
Yeah.
Lib Dem, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that But from a political point of view, I think that is okay the way it is. Why? Because it gives you a sense of the fact that we have a law and we stick to the
Yes.
law. Because you don't want to be in a
Yes.
country. The same thing we complain about in, like, back in Africa where we come from, is that the president just changed the laws, changed constitutions anyhow.
True. Why are you going for China? I think I've not really
China
gone
has
deep
just
enough.
said they're gonna
What
keep
has happened?
Xi Jinping for another.
Z.
And that's the thing. You want to be in a country where you feel like there's a democracy, there's a rule,
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
law, and the law is going to be
Yes.
followed irrespective of what happens. From a
Yes.
political point of view, I think that is a very good thing for a country.
Yeah.
It puts the UK on the map of democracy, and even at the top level.
Yeah.
And again, it gives an opportunity to a guy who is not a conventional kind of guy who's in the prime minister to be prime minister.
No, it's true. And
So
even
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think my political side outweighs my human side. So I think we should have just left it the way it was and give this guy a chance. The Conservatives have got the mandate. That's the law. If it was the Labour Party, I would say the same thing. They've got the mandate. Do you really
think that with everything going on this mandates? Because if you think about it, they should have been happy with the budget.
Yeah.
If they were following the mandate that they were elected to deliver. This is what Liz Truss said. She said she did not think that what she was elected to do, she can deliver.
She could deliver.
And that is the noble thing. So if the mandate that we elected this party for, they're not delivering, then in my opinion, and with the senses that I have got working, means that they have failed.
No, honestly, that's where I have sympathy with Liz Truss.
Right.
Because the MPs voted Rishi. Because they knew and they understood that what he was saying about fiscal discipline was the way forward. The markets sided with him. The Conservative members voted for Liz Truss overwhelmingly, which is why overall she won it.
Yes.
People argue that that means the Conservative members were racist. They didn't want a brown guy. That's another debate. You can debate that in the bar. But if the facts are the facts. The MPs voted for Rishi Sunak from round 1 to round 6. He was the leader. And then the Conservative members voted for Liz Truss. So you made a point about, she got a mandate. But the MPs did not want that mandate. And the MPs are the ones who basically kicked her out.
So we need a general election to understand what we are agreeing to. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, it's like, I don't know, you're in a hard place on a rock. That's what you said, right? So either ways, it feels like there's no winning. And I think that people are just embarrassed now that we'll have a third PM if they don't take a step
in what,
back.
6 months? In 5 months? Is it 5 months or
we're
3
talking
months?
September.
In 4 months.
In 4 months.
That's 4 chancellors in 4 months. If he gets a new chancellor tomorrow, that's gonna be 5 in 5 months.
Absolutely.
3 home secretaries in 3 months, 3 prime ministers. Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke. So there's that aspect of me that thinks there's sympathy that anybody who took that position will be in a difficult place. But I personally think that nobody takes the country serious anymore, right? We think that they're just there. Everybody is like they're trying their luck. They just make the rules as they go along. That's what I feel. They make the rules as they go along, and there's no credibility anymore. So I think that the way for the country to take people serious for general election. Now that's topic for another day. But I like the fact that at least your humanity is still existing.
Yeah,
it's still existing. Now to the next thing is I've talked about it already, but do you think that Rishi has enough experience to be the prime minister?
Okay, this is where my view is a bit controversial on this one, right? In that I genuinely believe that leadership, and I mean, there's courses on leadership, there's programs on management, like even there's degrees on this, PhDs and stuff. Yeah. Leadership is all about, there's different styles of leadership. Mm-hmm. I could be a leader in that I lead by example. Mm-hmm. So if you think about sports, the captain would basically work out the most. He will be there, who'll come on time, who'll make sure that he leaves last. Everything has to be done, he does it properly. That's leading by example. That's one way. There's another way where you have it's about strategy. you have the
Yeah.
tactics. You know, in the case of the government, you have the budgets, everything, the vision,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone
Mm-hmm.
subscribe. Everyone subscribe to that vision,
Mm-hmm.
that budget, that strategy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a third leadership, which is like a hybrid of both,
Yes, of both.
where you've got a vision, you have an idea, but fundamentally, you just have people to deliver. That's why, as a leader, your cabinet is
Delegation.
extremely important. I'll give you an
Yes.
example. Everyone who's been a leader in this life has had a
Mm-hmm.
background in something.
Yeah.
So, for
Yeah.
example, Rishi's background is in finance and economics. You know, like what's his face, the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer. His background is in law. Somebody's
Yes.
background is in diplomacy. Background
A
is
lot of them are, yes.
in science, and as a
Yeah.
doctor, etc. What does that tell you? If your background is in law, you may not have
Yes.
the most acumen or skills in
You're
economics or
right.
finance. So what does
Yes.
that mean? That if Sir Keir Starmer, as he's got background in law,
Yeah.
if he comes into power, he needs to have a very competent chancellor because
Absolutely.
that's not his background. So
No,
it just
you're right. You're right. But I think that sorry, I have to interject there. I think
yeah,
that
sure,
this guy's just going around. Let me think about somebody like Jeremy Hunt.
yeah.
He was the
He was the
health
health secretary, yeah,
right?
for years, for 6 years,
For
7
years.
years. So.
And I know that we remember him during COVID and stuff. And he's moved now to being the chancellor.
Chancellor.
And then he was actually going to be the PM. So what I'm saying is I don't think it's about the experience or the education or the backgrounds. I think it's about the ability to make decisions,
Correct.
right?
I was going to come to that. Yeah.
And delegate and understand people's strengths.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes me slightly uncomfortable is why would he then be able to be the chancellor? Does he have enough economic acumen? Does
Okay,
he
so
have enough
that's
credibility
where
financially
that's
of
where
numbers?
politics now. There's no black and white politics because politics at the end of the day is about loyalty, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just take away politics and you think about a company would operate in exactly the same way we're describing it. You need to have the experience, you need to be the field, you need to have, kind of like a resume that's kind of very clearly displays your expertise. But when it comes to politics, I can appoint you just because you're my mate.
Absolutely.
I can appoint you just because it serves a political purpose. I can appoint you because you come from an area where there's nobody who's come from that area who is in power. So by appointing you, it gives you a political advantage, almost like geopolitical advantage. Politics is complicated to understand unless you're in it. It's taken me years to really kind of understand it. Also from a Cameroon point of view and Africa, and I see how other leaders across the world. In Russia, politics is different to communists in China.
Yeah, of course. Those are extreme cases.
Everyone talks about Rwanda, but Rwanda, technically, he's a dictator. But his dictatorship is paying dividends. It's a different kind of
it is a positive one. A country that cannot put people on the floor.
Correct. So politics is very, very different in different areas. And I think that's why there's no black and white answer with any question you're going to ask, right?
Okay, so you're
right.
Why
is he here? Why is he there?
But I think that
what I was saying is, in all these departments, be it the Home Department or the Home Secretary, the Chancellor, the Finance, all the different ministries, you have Secretary Generals who are the people who actually do the work. Those are the people that actually have the experience of delivering for that particular domain.
The figureheads are just political heads. I think that my last comment I have on this point is when I talked about I've even missed my thoughts. What was I about to talk about now? No, I think the thing about appointing people and having credibility, right?
Yeah.
Like someone like Rishi, is he has not said a word about what his plans are now that
he hasn't said anything.
That is my problem. So I think he's done a lousy tweets with all due respect, and I think whatever, and that's it. And he said now that he's going to rule with what are the three things: integrity, professionalism, and accountability. That's what he said in his words. That doesn't mean nothing to anybody. What I'm saying is, do you think that the public generally? So I always vote, right? And from my first vote, I think was Brexit, and I always vote when the big decisions be made.
Which is good. Which is the right thing to do, for sure.
I believe that most of us watching, most people who are not really deep into politics will vote based on maybe the local MPs who put something in the post, or you hear about one thing. If you're Labour, you hear that, oh, they're going to increase. I'm not disrespecting people who are on benefits. I'm just saying, giving an example.
Yeah, of
That
course,
maybe
of course. It's the
universal
reality.
credits.
Yeah,
And
that's the reality.
I'm not really, I don't want to say I'm Labour, but I'm kind of socialist, right?
You're
And that's why
socialist,
I
yeah.
believe that the
Mm-hmm.
big thing that annoyed me with the mini budget was the energy cap turn around. Honestly, to think that at warm houses in the UK people go to get, these are things that we don't have to, anybody listening with the human hearts will understand that certain people have to be looked after more than the rest. Unfortunately,
That is
it's not.
absolute. And again, so just on that point of energy, so um, there was a post I saw on social media about this obviously wealthy guy, clearly wealthy guy, who had like a rebate. The government, they give you £400 and they give you
Yeah,
whatever. And he was basically saying that you're giving me £400, I don't need it. Like, even if the bill goes up to £6,000, I can afford it. So basically, you're giving me this money, I don't need it. It's basically the economics doesn't make sense. So what he was trying to say is that the higher earners who will get that fund, they should basically give it to charities that would help with maybe
yeah,
heating programs and things like that.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
thought that I just found that quite fascinating because
yeah.
even I personally, like, I saw in the email, my email, that I have £66 cash from the government to help with my bills. I don't need it, right?
So you see, so this
I'd
is the
rather that
thing.
goes to somebody who really needs it.
Exactly. I know that this is what they've turned back. That's true. Because what they've not told us. So I'm Mommy K, hello. And I want to just make a comment. A lot of people have messaged me since I've been talking about what's happening for my mini budget expenditure. People got in touch with me and said,
Right.
I like that you've broken it down. Because politics affects everybody.
It does. It does.
People use
It does.
jargons to to convey a simple message. And
Correct. Yeah.
if you're not in tune, people will not vote. If you don't understand what is happening, you're not bothered. But I always say that money, politics, it affects everybody. It
Everyone.
affects how you leave your house in the morning, how you
Yeah.
come back, and if you have a job. And the main last question I'm going to ask after this comment is about inflation and recession. And this is what brought me into this on my channel. Was
Right.
I've done a few videos on the living standard and the cost of living crisis, which being a mother, I'm always saying because of what somebody has said about British politics.
Okay.
Being a mother, how does it affect me? How does it affect me being a house, like having a household? And people
Totally.
say, oh, I go to the shops. I used to buy nappies for £2. Now it's £10. And this is a thing. How did we get into inflation? Yes, the things that external factors, right, that would affect it apart from the government. But the government having policies to alleviate and help the situation is your business, right? And it's so simple that if we're voting and we don't know what we're voting for, that is a lost cause. And I think that this is the issue. People vote based on their beliefs and maybe past glories,
That's
maybe who the local MPs are. They
that's
don't vote.
always the case, isn't it? It's
They
always
don't
the
vote
case.
on what the manifest. If you ask me now, why is Rishi Sunak or what is his plan? I don't think he knows. I don't think he did. He's making the rules as he goes along.
The
I know
thing is
that he
that even
said
if he's got a plan, the plan has changed because of what's happened in Liz's time. So obviously he had his
exactly.
plans from before, back
Yes.
in the campaign over the summer, but
Yes.
because of what's happened over the last month and a half,
Yes.
he has to change that plan a little bit because now it's about, okay, it's almost a joke because now you can't go back and reverse exactly what Jeremy Hunt has just done last week.
I was
It's
about to
almost
say
like,
that Jeremy. To be fair, Jeremy
what do
Hunt
you do?
and Rishi have the same policy in terms of no reduction in tax, right, and stimulating
Well,
growth through other ways, right?
there's a
So
question mark
and
of what's right and what's wrong at this point because there's no correct answer. It's about what the market wants. I think
it's
I
true.
think they will just do. I think Rishi, and I hope he keeps Jeremy Hunt as his chancellor. They've got one job for 1 year. Just keep the markets happy. Just keep it stable. Let the
True.
pound just go like this.
Who determines what? And that was a funny question.
Who
Who
determines
determines
what?
what? Is the other way around. The market determines the leader, not the leader determine the market.
Yeah,
And
true. But I think the markets react to what the leader does, right? So I think it's
mhm,
both. Both depend on each
yeah,
other, right? Because
yeah,
obviously, and I think the markets like Rishi, they resonate with
mm-hmm,
everything Rishi is about. And I
mm-hmm,
think he is gonna bring stability and then we can
mm-hmm.
have the election. How about
Yeah,
that?
that's a good one. I'll go for that any day. I will. And
Yeah.
I
But
think we're
honestly,
all tired.
people vote based on the most abstract things you would ever think of.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that political literacy is very important because that way
Mm-hmm.
people start understanding that when somebody says X, what did they actually what are they meaning? Are they meaning Y or X minus 1 or X minus 2? Because if you
Absolutely.
don't
And they should
understand it,
stop talking
you just go
about
what he has said and you go
yeah.
as like with Brexit, right? Brexit, all of
Mm,
us thought that Brexit was missold, because all the things they said about Brexit, oh, you can build one hospital per week. That obviously turned out to be, factually incorrect. But
Brexit is a double-edged sword. So people are
it is.
smiling
But
away.
people bought it and they voted
Yes.
Brexit.
Yes,
And
absolutely. So
now they're like, where's the hospitals?
yes,
Right?
absolutely. So
So,
in every situation, everybody there's winners and the losers.
oh, hell yeah.
Everybody who
Yeah.
is online, by the way, and wants to join this, I know that I wanted to make it an hour so that I short and sweet, but politics sometimes you just want to keep going and not let politics money. And let's not forget, I always say in all of my videos, right, that the main thing that we forget is there is the cost of living crisis. On top of all of this political innuendo and whatever, the main thing is that some people cannot heat their homes. People cannot actually afford
Yeah.
food. I've had to, the times that I had tins of food and I used to just put in the bin, but I am actually going to food banks now to give food that I don't eat.
Correct.
And I saw
Yeah.
a queue of people. So there's the human side of me that thinks people need to be slightly more sensitive. People need to understand that in as much as they want to be PMs, they want to be chancellors, there's a vote for power, there's a fight for power, the conservatives, they need to realize that this is not the time to mess about people's lives.
Like the struggle is
People
real, as
will
they say.
freeze to death
Yeah.
this winter. I'm sorry
Yeah.
to be that blunt, but that's going to happen if there's nothing done about it. So I hope that more and more of us will understand the impact day to day in our lives. And I'll always try to squash the numbers and put it in a 7-8 minutes video so that people understand when they come up with all the manifestos and all this. The fiscal budget is meant to be out 31st of October. I know. When it comes out, I actually did a video on the reversal, which I put down because I didn't want to rush it till the full thing came out. And we'll talk about how it affects you because there's two conflicting things: the recession, which is and inflation, which is supposed to be not a bad thing with prices going up. So it's a bit of a very slippery slope to understand for most people.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Sema, for sacrificing an hour of your time on a weekday, on a Monday, to come and have a chat. But I just want anybody watching, there's a few people online, people come in and go. Is there anything you want to ask? Is there anything you want to make a comment about? Somebody, right? Anything anybody wants to say? I know that you guys are just watching in the background. Sema, do you have any question for me? It's very slippery indeed. Do you have any comments? Any
I can't see.
questions?
I can't see any comments. I can't
Can
see
you
even what's
not?
going on. No, because it's on YouTube, isn't it? I've not got it
Oh,
on, so
oh yes, that's true.
don't
Do you have
worry.
any questions? Any other comments you want to make before we call it a day? And we're going to have this again.
Yeah, no,
This
I
was
think
just today to celebrate. We had to have party. I mean, my mini library, so there's
we
no
needed like a
pressure. So
little.
something to say. We have a new. It's
We have
going
a
to be an
new
upbeat video.
non-white prime minister, which is awesome. No,
Yes.
thank you for inviting me to your platform.
Mm-hmm.
For those who can imagine and know and have heard, this Laura is my sister, my big sister. I'm big fan of the program, big fan of the channel. So I think everyone needs to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, as they always say.
Yeah.
I think these things, even if it changes 5 people's lives or 1 person's life, I think that's the whole idea, right? You're not doing this for money or whatever. It's just to make everyone aware of things that are important for them.
Of course.
It sounds like it's important to you, but conversely, it affects every single one of us. So
Yes.
I'm very happy to be here and support you in any way
you.
possible.
Thank
And
you.
let's do
And
all
we
we
are
can
going
to
to
make.
have Sema has many facets to him. So I know he downplayed his introduction, but he is my go-to person when it concerns anything to do with jobs. Really, me and him, we are from one family. We like our money. We like to
We
keep
like to
up to
discuss
date.
money because money is important. Yeah, money
And
is.
money makes the world go round. To be honest, unfortunately,
That's the only reason why we go to schools. It's because we want to learn and get money and look after
yeah.
ourselves.
I know Queen B is a plus. So I think that, and I've had a few videos on passive income, and I think oh, this is a question from Prince Melvin. Hello, Prince Melvin Nation. You always support me. Thank you. What he said is, what do you think about the role of the new king and new PM going to look like as time approaches?
Cool. Good question. Do you
Very
want to
good
go?
question. I am not even. Where are you based? Tell us. But yeah, Sema, I'll give that to you to answer, and I'll give my
New king, new
undiluted
prime
opinion.
minister. So as we all know, the Queen passed on 2 days after giving reins to the former prime minister, and now we have a new king and a new prime minister. I think both of them are controversial in their own ways. Obviously the King Charles has had a very interesting past, and you can say what you want to say about him, but he's the king. And obviously Rishi Sunak is coming. Yeah, by birth. Yeah, well, and obviously Rishi Sunak is coming, in very, very unconventional circumstances. So both are controversial. Both understand that in the grand scheme of things, they may have been underdogs. So I think they have something to relate there.
Yeah.
The policy in the United Kingdom is that the king or the monarch meets with the prime minister on a weekly basis. I'm sure they would have very interesting conversations. I'm pretty sure at some point it will come up that I need you to make the point about, again, the king needs you to make the point about the UK being a very open, diverse country, because that's what the UK is trying to preach. The monarchy has been very big on going to African countries and Caribbean countries and saying that we are sorry about what happened in the past with colonialism. And I think this is just a way of, I think they want to use Rishi as much as possible to big up that message about the UK's role in embracing diversity a bit more. That's
Absolutely.
what I think.
And because I think that, thank you, Natalie, and I think that definitely they'll try as much as possible for this not to repeat itself. And you know that,
Yes.
that sounds so negative. So Rishi being there
he has to be there to the end. Yeah,
they have to use him to set that example, because it'll be another century before we see this happen. They'll make sure that that's the case. Totally. So, and this is not being being negative, but that kind of is the way it'll look like. I remember my other half saying, "There's no way that it's going to happen because this country is so conservative," and it's true. But I think the circumstances, I think unprecedented is the word that you used, and I know it's been used so much since COVID. I don't know. I hear just like I don't want to hear that word again, but it is.
COVID, it is unprecedented. It is.
Was unprecedented, right? And
yeah.
I think that this is an amazing time to be alive. Somebody was saying before, like, we've had so much. We've had COVID.
In a short space of time.
In a short space. We've created history from 2019 when life was normal. Remember?
Very normal.
Normal, like, December, and then January hits.
Pandemic, Brexit.
This, and then lockdown, and then people think you're going to die. People died.
The Queen died.
Like, the Queen died.
Yeah.
Then we had, oh my God. And then we've had history in a week. The first history is, I'm not a historian, by the way, but I'll have to quote this history. The first history is Liz. Is Liz Truss being the shortest lived prime minister. That was like, oh, I couldn't get over that. She gave the hand kiss of death to the Queen. And then the next thing is, what's his name? Rishi being the first colored prime minister and the youngest in a
youngest
century.
Prime Minister. That's my guy.
Absolutely. So we have created history, and I'll be here to deliver to you guys what is happening as it happens. And Sema, this is just the beginning. We're going to have more sessions that we'll plan, right? So this was very impromptu because it happened. I just said, get on, mates. Get on, wear your coats, look clean, and you always scrub up well. Come on, let's talk about what's happened.
No, let's do it. Thank you very much for having me. And
thank you too.
I see you have some very, very loyal followers. So thank you for supporting Lua.
Thank you. And see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye. Subscribe if you've not. Bye. Bye.